The thing that really sticks in my mind has to be the kids, the children, and the hope and the sparkle in their eyes.
They are the smilingest people I have ever seen. You smile at them, they smile back and want interaction. They want to be near other people. They were cheerful.
They were so much fun to be with, talking with and smiling, but knowing that how hard their lives are is one of the things that's going to be the hardest for me to deal with as I think back about this trip. Those kids are probably going to haunt me for a long time.
The HIV/AIDS crisis in South Africa is almost beyond description. In many of the communities that we've been looking at, over 1/3 of the population is affected by HIV/AIDS. It's just devastating, the country.
We came because we were told that this project in South Africa was one that merited some attention and some time and needed some resources. And in order for us to be better informed, the best way to do that would be to pack up and come over here and take a look at it firsthand.
To evaluate the opportunities that exist and to go home and share what we've seen, to see firsthand what we as individuals and as a group can accomplish here in Southern Africa.
Hello. Good day.
Greetings from America.
Thank you.
The project at Dwarsloop began with Paul Mawelas, a retired pastor there, who felt that he was doing too many funerals for young people.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Almost every weekend we would be burying a young person, leaving children behind. One of my own church members approached me and told me that, Pastor, I am HIV positive. Am I still welcome to be a member in this church? That gave me a challenge. And I discovered that she was not the only one who thinks that to be HIV positive is to be like a leper. You must be thrown out. There are many in these communities.
He got together with his fellow pastors of other Christian churches in the town who were in the same situation. And they decided to form a community-based organization that might be able to do something about it.
The project is called Nhlengelo, a Tsonga name for standing together against an enemy. So we said, well, let us stand together against the enemy, HIV/AIDS, poverty, and other illnesses that are found in this community.
When we arrived at Nhlengelo, we found the pastors were there receiving some training. And the training they were receiving was how to operate a home-based clinic for HIV.
Some were Adventists, some were non-Adventists, but they all had a very, very deep passion for what they were about. Some had traveled many hours to be there for this.
The infected individuals.
The idea is to get pastors of different denominations, but especially pastors from the Trans-Orange Conference of the Seventh-day Adventists come in here and see what we are doing.
Well, when a person is negative,
we want to see them setting up community-based projects and home-based care projects. We hope they will be able to go back to their communities and begin to do something.
It has given me hope. If I can just help somebody, not everybody. I need to help somebody, somebody help somebody, somebody help somebody, then we help each other.
There were about 12 pastors from around South Africa, And we had an opportunity to mix with them and talk with them, find out what they're doing.
That really made me to be concerned about his lifestyle.
Then you don't know if you have anybody because the people will not confess. The pastor I got to talk to told me that many people who have AIDS don't want to talk about it. I asked him if he's had any church members who have died of AIDS, and he said he doesn't know. He's had people who have died earlier than they should have, but no one ever says this person died of HIV/AIDS. And I could feel his frustration that he wasn't able to minister to people the way he wanted to. And so I think he was looking for new ideas and new ways to go back home and implement what is happening at Nhlengelo.
In this area, this site.
It was exciting to see a Seventh-day Adventist beginning to work with other denominations, particularly in this health area, because we've worked in health so long. The ones that we met there had obviously bonded with Mawelas, and this was a team approach. They didn't see themselves as we're the Pentecostals and there's the Methodists and there's the, it wasn't like that. This was a team approach to the community needs. So that was extremely gratifying to me.
Clinic, they don't go to any doctor.
The heart and soul of the program there at Nhlengelo is embodied in the caregivers who go out into the homes in the community.
They go out into the homes of those people that have HIV/AIDS, and we'll take care of whatever their needs are. It might be helping to feed them, to exercise their limbs, to even help them clean the house, whatever needs to be done.
You saw her yesterday.
Hello.
The woman that we visited was 36 years old. She was laying on the bed. She was absolutely beautiful. And she's probably very close to dying of HIV/AIDS. And her husband was also there, but he also has AIDS. They have 3 children. She's laying on top of a mattress, and covering the mattress was a bedspread, and then the blanket over her. There was no extra bed linen.
Looking in her house, it was obvious that they're very poverty-stricken and in need of a lot of things, even just the basic things like food, etc. Very, very difficult. And to know that you're looking at a 36-year-old woman who probably within a year will not be there is a very sobering thing, very humbling thing.
One of the homes we went into, we opened the door and the bed was right there. No room to move, no room to manipulate, very poor ventilation, hardly any lighting.
There were 3 children in that family. The mother was very ill. As a matter of fact, on her, when you saw her arms, it was skin attached to bone. It was so without flesh, in essence, that you would have been afraid to touch her arms.
And this is a lady whose husband left in December to try to find work in Joburg, and they had not seen or heard of him since.
And that you may give her hope beyond the present life. Amen. That even in her present circumstances, she may know the grace is sufficient to save her.
You know, some people who have been diagnosed HIV are suicidal. They want to die. Some are very angry about God. Some are angry about the community. They want to infect everybody they come across. Mostly they are stigmatized. You find that they suffer rejection from family members, even the community at large.
We have got presently 26 caregivers. They've been working voluntarily without any allowance of any sort. However, for this year, the government has provided us funds to be able to give each caregiver a stipend of 500 Rand per month, about $80 US. And that's all we give them.
They were giving really service. There was not the sort of reward in it. The lady that I spoke to, well-educated woman, could have easily been a teacher doing something like that and made probably, 5, 10 times what she was being paid on this small stipend. But she said, as she said to me, she said, you've got to have it in your heart. And she had it in her heart, you could tell.
We visited a home with the caregiver, Portia, and the home we visited was a 5-year-old girl whose initial diagnosis was tuberculosis. However, she also has HIV. And as we went into the home, it just broke your heart to see this precious little girl, so young, so innocent, and to know that she's so sick and that they don't have what they need to take care of her. Dr. Alan Handyside began just talking to her like a grandfather, and I could see that this little girl began to warm up to us, and her smile got even bigger. Even though we didn't know her, like Portia knows her, they understood we cared for her and that we wanted to do something to make her life better.
You're a good girl. Yeah. HIV/AIDS and the epidemic is, to my mind, one of the most lethal epidemics that's ever hit mankind. The problem with HIV/AIDS is it's an epidemic in slow motion. It's not ravaging in 1 year, but it's just creeping through. It's sort of like you take a movie of that cheetah running, put it into slow motion, but let me tell you, it's going to be just as fast and just as devastating when we look at it over time, because we don't have a cure for it. You go out into the towns and you say, man, my goodness, look at this. We've visited 5 homes in this quarter-of-a-mile region, and in every home, there's somebody lying there with HIV. The human tragedy that's behind all this. And it makes me choke up when I think about it. If that were my kids. You are a nice girl. Yes, we think you're terrific. Yeah.
Once we came back from visiting the homes of the clients, it was just about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which was the time when the children are out of school. There waiting for us were all of these beautiful orphan children.
Of 5th grade.
The orphans that we help are the children that lost both parents. Now, those are called child-headed homes.
A new term for me. I mean, I'd never heard that before. And here we are, these are children. They are really children. And now they're the heads of the household. And they're not necessarily teenagers. They may be young children, 6, 7, 8 years old, that technically you'd call them head of household because that's all that's left.
What grade are you in? Grade 2. 2nd grade.
There's no one who's in control, so you have to go there, befriend the children, try to help them to know that they still have to live a normal life. They still have to clean their surroundings, clean the home, wash their uniforms. The eldest one still has to make sure that the younger ones go to school.
What do you want to be? A teacher.
We have a kitchen here. Ladies are cooking every day. After school, the children will come here and have a lunch.
They sat around and they started to get their food, and they tucked in there with obvious relish, eating a basic meal, cornmeal porridge with whatever else they had added to that. Some had beans and some had milk on it and so forth, and they were eating that with relish.
We help them with their homeworks. We have teachers who are volunteering to come and help the children do their homeworks. So we are trying to initiate this and show the children that they are still welcome. They are still good citizens, and they will grow up.
I saw, in spite of their situation, a willingness to want to even minister to us. It was just a very heartwarming time.
They touch your hearts, and then when you realize what they're going through and the fact that they still have that smile that comes across their face, it really makes an impact on your life. And you say how many kids really are there like this, and how grateful that Mrs. Mawela and Pastor Mawela are ministering to these kids, and that we can have a part in that.
Hope for Humanity is a breath of fresh air. You're coming about this whole program by saying, here are some challenges, here are some needs. We're a world church. We can't just stay focused congregationally. We've got to start thinking about our brother and sister across the world who need our help.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We thank God. I have become an eyewitness this week of seeing what that ministry does. And what Hope for Humanity is doing is a tremendous ministry that is very much needed. I'm excited by it. This is something I can go home and I can tell my people, hey, I can get behind this. Let's do what we can.
I hope to be able to extend the ministry of the Mawelas by saying there are opportunities here for us to care for these people, and they really need our help.
I'm very grateful for this trip. I really have learned so much. It has changed my life. Now that I'm here, I keep asking myself that question, what's my purpose from here on out? The need is so great, and it would be overwhelming if you look at the whole thing. But there's a little project in Dwarsloop, which is growing all the time.
What can I do to help these people carry their load and make their country a place where they can live easier and live happier and meet the basic needs of life?
This is an important part of the church's work because as a church we need to show people that Jesus cares. And by being close to the families that are bereaved, people that are starving, people that are suffering, we are actually doing our calling.
I think that's the thing that's made the impression upon me the most. They care about the people. They don't care about themselves. They're trying to find a way to reveal Jesus Christ to people. Is this the work of Jesus? Nothing else could be the work of Jesus. Jesus went from village to village, touching people.
Especially the poor and the weak. And I believe that the greatest work we can do for humanity is to help those who are in need of our help. This is the work the church should be doing. I believe that if Jesus was here, if he were to visit here today, Nhlengelo would be one of the first places he would visit.
And he lifted me up, from the deep mighty lake, and he planted my feet on the King's way. And this is the reason I sing the song, for Jesus come down.